What is up, guys? Welcome back to Viewer Castles. Today we're going to start off with Lorrigan. Castle level is a 28, so I'll jump into it on my archer. Alright. So we have a Stairmaster, a Hunger Bot, basically just space control general units. I don't think this is necessarily a bad group. It works very similar to the way that I use my groups. I might want to say that like the Archer and the Stairmaster kind of fit into the same role inside of this group, as like just a DPS unit that like if you aren't paying attention they can hit you. And I might switch it out for something that's more oriented towards space control, but I don't think it's necessary really at all. I think it's fine to have both of them in there, especially as your first group, because the whole space control thing, if you can go backwards far enough where there's no traps, then it really doesn't work anymore. So I think that's fine. This group, Explodifier is not really my favorite unit unless it's being used with a Dr. Skull, which I feel like could be a possibility with all of these Snotters. And yes, it is. So I'm going to see if I can just kill this. But this is going to be kind of difficult. This is a good one, for sure. So it makes a lot more sense why you're using that Explodifier now. And yeah, it's a good group. Good room in general. You know, your castle's 2 levels under, and kind of 4 levels under what I normally attack. And I'm almost needing to use a potion on the first room, which is really good for you. So, Stairmasters can do deadly amounts of damage pretty quickly if they start hitting you, and you don't like deal with them quick enough, I guess. Because they're not super tanky units, but they teleport around, so if you miss a couple of your shots and they hit all of theirs, they can add up damage a lot really quickly. Same as these Vamps. They do about 500 damage auto attack, and I've ran into some situations where I do what I did here, whereas I ignore the healer and I go straight after the Vamp. And if that healer gets off a couple of good heals early on before, like if you notice there, I kind of auto attacked it, kind of rolled backwards and threw out traps and then headshotted it, so it kind of chunked it down to about half life as the Bone Puppeteer was still trying to approach me. And that way he wasn't really able to get within range to heal all that much until it was almost dead. He got maybe 1 or 2 ticks of healing off, so wasn't quite enough to actually sustain him and keep the Vamp alive, but if he had, I might have been in a little bit of trouble there. I actually think these Cyclopses might be the weakest that there are now. The over-the-head slam Cyclopses, just because the range has been reduced so much on them than it used to be, and then also, you know, the damage was buffed on charge and the damage was buffed on the 3-punch combo. Although the 3-punch combo and that both have its merits, I would say. Like, I think Cyclopses are good units just in general now, because they do so much damage and they're reasonably tanky. But yeah, I'm really liking charge as of right now, just because I guess it hits more often, in my opinion. And then you get the added benefit of moving the hero where you want them to, and also, you know, it does 1,000 damage, which is pretty good. I'm not sure exactly how much this does. I kind of want to test it. But see, there's things like that where the range is still just a little bit buggy, where, you know, he goes to attack you, but you move just slightly out of the way, even though it looks like he should hit you. The animation and the actual range of the Cyclops seems to still be a little bit off of where it should be. So that's why I prefer the other 2 specializations a little bit more. Alright. see what this is going to be. We have a Hungerbot coming, so I'm just going to pull back around this this pillar here to kind of block off the shots. There was also a Zeke, so works out for me. And then I'll drop a volley and just auto-attack the Zeke a couple times, and it'll die. So that's one weakness of having this pillar right here, like if you change the room so that it didn't have this. I think it's part of this room, which, I mean, this room isn't the strongest room anyway, so you could definitely change that out if you wanted to. And it might help. But I guess I can see what you were going for, at least, with the Defendatron up here trying to guard it with another group, but it's pretty easy to make them come to you when you have this pillar here. Also, the Defendatron range has been nerfed a little bit. Alright, so that does 1200 damage versus 1000 when you're on charge. Not too big of a difference. But anyway, yeah. So the Defendatron range has been nerfed a little bit, so that specific little trick doesn't work nearly as good as it used to. It was nerfed from like 5 to 4 or something on the range of the leash before it disconnects. Alright. Trying to get it so that this Defendatron will come around the IMAX so I can actually shoot it. There we go. Good spot for an IMAX though. This is a tough room to fight it in. Alright. There's a Snotter somewhere up in here that I could see, and see if I can pull it with a volley. Yeah, I was able to. I saw a Explodifier, so I'm going to obviously want to pull it back a little farther than normal. Just in case there is another Dr. Skull pull, which seems very likely. But I don't think it's going to be as much of a problem because I was able to pull it through the wall up here. Most people won't check for that though, it was very hard to see. Like if I wouldn't have went down on this side to get a little bit more vision up here, I wouldn't have seen it. So a lot of people who come this way and then just kind of roll across it won't necessarily see that that pull, but I'm guessing this will be the Dr. Skull right here. And it is. So he's even still somewhat dangerous by himself. He gets a lot of skeletons up quickly, but not as bad when there's not a ton of creatures around to support him, to help him like resurrect and stuff. Alright, so we have the boss room now, which is Count Nottingham, which is good. I've always said it's probably the strongest pre-made boss, so. The only weakness for him is if you kite him backwards like this, as an archer at least, you can kill him and hit him, at least with this bow specifically because it has the longest range out of all of the bows. You can kite him backwards and he kind of stays out of range where he can't actually attack you very easily. A lot of his abilities won't reach you, so that's one easy way of dealing with Count Nottingham. But yeah, pretty good castle. We'll jump into number 2 in just a second. Next up we have Ferpect, castle level 25. So again on my archer. It'll be a little bit easy, so I'll try to go slow and figure out what's actually happening. Because I tend to, on some of these castles when I'm talking, I just sort of volley groups and I don't actually notice what they are trying to accomplish. Alright, so this one we have a Zeke. So I would say this is probably a little more difficult for knights because they'll have to pull back in order to pull the Zeke a little forward because they have this other group that they have to worry about right here. They don't necessarily want to aggro that. Although there's a lot of space right here that I can. That was really weird. That I can fight in without having any sort of threat based on traps, because you have one trap up here that's not really going to do much for you, this one up here, and then you have this jelly wall, which, I mean, again, probably not going to do a ton for you either. I don't know about this jelly wall. Like, I might want to put in a damage dealing trap there. But yeah, you can notice how the Smelly Warrior on that Griefer specialization, or whatever it's called, the Cyclops was trying to charge at me, and it just sort of stunned him in his tracks because it was trying to resurrect itself. It's not really my favorite specialization at all. Alright, now we have these Stairmasters. Unfortunately, I still think that the Stairmasters on this specialization at level 24, like you are here, just don't do enough damage. At level 28, this is going to get like times by 4 this damage right here. You'll be doing upwards of probably about times by 3. It'll be somewhere between like 120 and 180, I think, for your damage, rather than 30 to 40, which it is now. So I mean, right now I can kind of just stand in these, and it really doesn't affect me that much. Like, yes, it'll add up over time, but no one that's actually trying to go through your castle is going to just stand in them. Like, if they're trying to dodge them even a little bit, the damage just isn't high enough at these lower levels. And mainly it's just a tiering issue. You know, they're on tier 3 right now. At level 28 they'll be tier 4, so they gain a big stat increase. But I think teleport Stairmasters are still okay at your level. I think they're the only ones that are all that useful. Alright, so let's see if I can... I guess I should use a potion. I don't want to die. Okay. So more Stairmasters. Again, I really think that if you switch them over to teleport, it'd be a little bit more difficult. At least until you get up to level 28 Stairmasters. Then you can switch them back if you want to. Although they've been nerfed quite heavily over the last patch. They got reworked last patch at level 28 and above, and their damage just got nerfed randomly. Like, it seems like they didn't get changed in any way. Supposedly they were supposed to tick faster or something like that, but instead they just kind of got nerfed. I do think that IMAXs can be used on that specialization, though, at pretty much any level, and it's reasonably good. Alright, we got a Zeke here. He seems a little bit delayed, though. I was kind of fighting the Cyclops, and then the Zeke kind of rounded the corner afterwards. He didn't really come at the same general time. So maybe you could speed him up or slow down the Cyclops slightly. Alright, so we have Dr. Skull. I can drop a volley and he'll pretty much die, but I think this group is okay by itself. The only thing that I would say about it is that... Oh wait, you have 2 Dr. Skulls? I must have double pulled somewhere here. That's pretty interesting. I'm not actually sure where I double pulled, so I guess if I was a lower level that would have probably put me in at least a little bit of trouble. I do tend to like having Defendatrons on my Dr. Skulls, though. Although I'm not sure if that was skippable either, because now I'm coming this way. I don't know. I'm a little confused by that room. I'd have to go through it again to see exactly how it works. It's probably good. Alright, couple spiders. Those spiders actually can do decent damage. That's why I use them in my castle with my Dr. Skull. One of my Dr. Skulls. I think I might only have one Dr. Skull. But I might have switched it out for Explodifiers or Mr. Boom Booms, though, recently. But I did at one point use those spiders in conjunction with it, because if you just ignore them and leave them just like leaping on you over and over again, they can do decent damage. And they don't work the same way as, say, a Cyclops on charge does. They don't really knock you down or push you away, they just kind of hit you for 200 damage. So they don't, you know, they can stack, kind of. They can keep doing their damage. Like, if you have 8 of them pouncing you at the exact same time will all do their damage, whereas if you had 8 Cyclopses, only 1 or 2 of them would hit you because they would push you away from the others. Alright, and then for a boss room, a lot of battering rams. Battering rams can do good, but I would say that the same thing that I was just talking about applies here. Whereas if like this first one up here hits me, and say that they're all kind of trying to charge me, and they're just a little bit off from each other. If one of them hits me, it's going to push me back, and the other ones are going to stop trying to charge before they actually get to me. So it's going to kind of, you know, you'll get diminishing returns when you add in more than 1 or 2 battering rams. So personally, I like to keep only 1 or 2 of them, so that, you know, you can add in some other type of space control. You could throw in a Hungerbot, you could throw in a Smelly Archer, a Zeke, something like that, and take out, you know, 2 to 3 of those battering rams, and it might do a little bit better. But yeah, we will jump into number 3 in just a second. Alright, for number 3 we have freakXshadow. Cast level's a 31, so that might be a little bit difficult for me. Let's jump into it and see what he's got. Alright, so this looks very much so like a Dr. Skull as like the next group. So I'm going to pull this back a little bit more than I normally would. The good thing here about this chicken being as your first group is if someone does pull it back to this area and you start to get, you know, overwhelmed for some reason, like, I don't know, do you have a healer with this as well? Yeah, maybe if your healer was a little bit closer, or, you know, whatever, if he starts getting healed and you don't take him out quickly, this small area trying to fight one of these elite chickens is really difficult, because of his abilities. They are really good at space controlling around his area. Alright, so I probably shouldn't have killed this right away, but it's okay. It doesn't have a Defendatron, so I can kind of get up right next to it and just take it out pretty easily. But yeah, you can kind of read that coming, especially when you see Explodifiers these days. That's really the only time that they're used. Alright, then we got a Killer Crab. Let's just headshot that down. Okay. So that one wasn't too bad. Killer Crab's not my favorite unit. They don't really do much, they just kind of stand there and they're kind of like a Defendatron, but it doesn't tank for any other unit, so that's why I don't ever really use them. Pete Poundmore pretty good here. I'm not sure if he was level 32 or if he hadn't been leveled yet. But he went down pretty quickly. I might have just crit really high, or, you know, he didn't get any heals or anything either. So these Stairmasters can still do decent damage. I guess they actually only do 80 damage, so that's pretty surprising. I've only seen the nerfed version of level 32 ones, who still do around 200 damage, so I figured it would still be a little bit higher than 80. That actually is pretty surprising. So for people who I've been telling to wait till level 28, that might not even be worth it anymore either. Honestly, they've nerfed that specific specialization quite a bit in the last patch or two. So it's really only useful to use teleportation right now, I think. This is a pretty scary group. It can combo pretty well with each other. Getting stunned and then getting stunned inside of that that ominous orb, and then if you're taking trap damage on top of that, you could probably take quite a bit of damage. Alright. Alright, that group's pretty much fine. It's kind of one of those space control type junk mobs, which gets used pretty often now. Probably another Dr. Skull. Maybe not this group specifically, but the next one for sure. Nope, there's the Dr. Skull. So I'm just kind of waiting until to kill off those Snotters until after. Snotters by themselves actually do decent damage, I'm trying to get exactly how much, about 80. And they shoot 2 shots at once, so they can do reasonable damage if they all hit you at once, but generally they won't do that. But they have to be respected enough where you shouldn't just stand there and let them attack you. Like in certain situations, like if they have chickens or something like that, you can easily let them attack you. But Snotters aren't one of those units that you really want to let just attack you for free. Alright. This is one of those situations as well where you have a lot of different types of space control that kind of work against each other. If you noticed at the very start of that pull, I got knocked down by the Hunger Bot, but then at that same time the Cyclops was trying to charge into me, and I got pushed away from the Cyclops by the Hunger Bot, and then the Cyclops stopped trying to charge me. So, you know, that sort of thing happens once in a while. And you want to try to like offset your units to make that not happen. Like if you maybe turned the Cyclops away from the hero or something like that, by the time the Hunger Bot hit me, maybe I would have already landed on the ground, and then the Cyclops would have tried to charge me from there. Little things like that can help out to at least deal your damage. Or even like this, where, you know, I could have gotten hit by the Hunger Bot, and then the Cyclops rounds the corner and charges into me. That sort of thing is good. So this is like an obvious time-wasting type group, which aren't going to be all that effective eventually, you know. Like, they've stated for a while that they don't want castles to be about wasting time, so eventually like these sort of things should never really come up, and I don't even know what the use of a killer crab will be at that point. Alright, so another Explodifier kind of makes me think that maybe we'll be having another Dr. Skull in the next group or two. So that's why I pulled it back a little bit extra far. Yeah, so your chicken's only at level 28, so that's why it's a little bit easier for me than when I did my little review of him. Which, if you guys don't know where that was, I did it on a Viewer Castle episode. I just sort of looked at it like the day after it came out. I didn't feel like making an actual video just having him in it because it would be literally 2 minutes long. So, I don't know, it's right at the start of one of my Viewer Castle episodes. Probably about 4 to 6 episodes ago, if anybody wants to look at that. But my thoughts are basically that he's quite a good unit for the price. He has a lot of different things that he does. The summoning chickens being the weakest of them all. And probably the whirlwind after that. His pounce is really good though. And it seems like his abilities might be random, or they might come in some sort of order that I haven't really figured out yet. That actually just like almost killed me. You can see how Pete Poundmores can like just rip apart an archer if you're not ready for it. I actually have to kill off the healers. There's too much heal here. I wasn't realizing that there was more than one healer, so I was trying to just do what I normally do, which was just DPS down the Pete Poundmore. But even a Pete Poundmore at level 28 almost killed me there, because his DPS is really high if he actually starts dealing it. The problem is archers are so mobile, and with bear traps as well, he just can't ever catch up to them. But he is a good unit. That was kind of a standard sort of group that I used to use, except I used to use a Dr. Skull, whereas you use two Bone Puppeteers, which I think are actually better than the one Dr. Skull, in my opinion. So pretty good castle. This is number 3, so we're going to end the video here. As always, if you guys enjoyed, please subscribe. If you want to be a part of ViewerCast, you can email me at frenzycastleruns@hotmail.com. Starting to get a little bit more caught up with the list, but I have to update it right after this video, so I'll probably add on a couple more names from the emails that I got this week. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Beta key giveaway this Friday. We should have enough keys to give away like this week and then one more next week, and then we might be running a little bit low. I'll have to see exactly how many I have. I have to count up the remaining ones. But yeah, So thank you guys for watching, hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time.